Okay, so this video is not really a social commentary. It's more so talking about my own experiences. Felt like talking about it because recently not super recently, but like somewhat recently, I had to deal with, or I found out about someone from my high school doing this, and I was like, oh.
Where the fuck my food stamps at, nigga? Y'all niggas hate black people for real. Where the fuck are they? Like, respect black women or else, nigga. How the fuck a big one costs more but way less than my EPT, nigga?
This is about my own experience kind of falling into this trope and how I got out of it. Not to the same extent where I was doing Nazi salutes and doing blackface online. Like, I never got to that point. I don't think I, like, said the N-word online either, or, like, did other crazy, like, horrible racist things, but I was a pretty edgy kiddo from when I was, like, 16 to, like, 19-ish.
Could you please define what an e-girl is, so we're all on the same page here?
E-girl, it's kind of a broad term. It's kind of just like any sort of feminine presenting person online who typically is more like sexually, it's generally like a girl who's online who sort of panders to the male gaze in one way or another.
And by pandering, you mean?
Like dressing up in a way that is, it's hard to define exactly what an e-girl is, but it's generally just like a broad term online for a woman online who tends to insert herself into male spaces because she is dressing for the male gaze or doing this or that. And it's like, there's kind of a aesthetic to it, but now it's a pretty broad term.
I guess first things first, you want to just introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, I'm Daniel Kolitz, and I'm a writer.
And do you find it comfortable to talk about pornography?
Difficult.
No,
not at all.
Really?
I mean, I guess if I'm at a party, I wouldn't bring it up. But if someone wants to know about, this kind of thing, no, I find that very easy to discuss.
And that is just how you are anyway? Or is it that you spent a bunch of time reporting and it has like naturalized you in the world?
I would say partly that. I mean, by the time I was finished reporting this piece, it was hard for me to remember that any of this was unusual. I started to point, I was like, are people going to find this strange? Because I was so inured to the crazy things I was looking at.
If Daniel's inured to the more extreme parts of the online porn world, it's because he spent a year investigating a subculture most of us would prefer not to think much about. Gooners. It's a word you might have already run into, but just as a joke, if you're around teenagers, they really enjoy accusing each other of being gooners. But gooners are also a real subculture online, with their own vocabulary and social hierarchy and strange behavioral codes. And if one of the missions of this show is to figure out what exactly the internet seems to be doing to everybody right now, both at its margins and in its mainstream, the time has come to try to understand the gooners, whose story has lessons in it about how the internet affects all of us. Can you just explain what is gooning and what is a gooner?
Sure. So gooning is a kind of ritualized form of prolonged masturbation. It involves basically trying to reach the goon state by masturbating for sometimes hours, sometimes days at a time. Goon state being a kind of masturbation nirvana, a flow state that most gooners claim is real and that you can tap into with practice. There's also a community component. Now, not every gooner is part of the gooning community. Most are. And that is a world of discords and Twitters. I sound like I'm 90 years old. That is a world online of people who masturbate together on camera, who play sort of gamified masturbation games, who are pornography enthusiasts and fans, and oftentimes remixers of existing pornographic content.
The first impression I got of you was extremely political because I saw a video on my feed talking about racist e-girls. So I need to know off the bat, like, what would you define racism as?
Right. So for me, racism is just sort of this sort of malicious intent to hurt someone else just because they're different, just because of the color of their skin or nationality, ethnicity kind of thing. My channel wasn't originally supposed to be like a political one. It was more so me just trying to talk about my own sort of rants or ideas. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of just ethics in general has become politicized when it really shouldn't. It should just be like looking like common sense to like not be racist or not, you know, be sexist, this and that kind of thing. And I just want to rant about it.
So before we go any further, could you please define in your own term what both of these terms mean? Gooner, goon, gooning, and kind of go from there.
Gooning is just like excessive masturbation, but it's kind of transformed to be just kind of anyone who masturbates to porn an excessive amount. Yeah. It's usually directed towards men, but I have seen the term goonette be used. And it seems to be people who also specifically like masturbate to online content and not like traditional porn.
Okay, so I think with the stage is pretty much set here. We've defined somewhat e-girls. We've also defined somewhat the culture in which they kind of operate, i.e. pandering to the male gaze. And we've also defined the male side of the equation, i.e. the gooners.
Jumping right into a really heavy mission today. We're taking the sources you shared to unpack this intense and honestly pretty toxic relationship between identity, race, and the tech that's shaping our whole digital world.
And it's such a crucial deep dive to do because the internet is, I mean, it's basically defining how we perform who we are now.
Right.
It's a total paradox. The whole thing is so fast-paced, so disposable, but at the same time, it's this incredibly powerful platform for, you know, cementing or maybe even destroying who you are.
And that tension is where all this conflict comes from.
Exactly.
And the starting point in these sources is, well, it's a surprising one. We're going down a rabbit hole into racist e-girls and the subcultures that they live in.
Yeah.
Which somehow also led us to the recent mainstreaming of terms like goon and gooner.
So when the sources talk about racism here, they're defining it less as an institutional thing and more as malicious intent to hurt someone else.
And yeah, looking back on this entire thing, this body of work, but specifically this conversation, the more time goes on, the more this will feel like a relic of its time, because from the back in my day, goon meant a whole other thing, actually. A goon was like the underling of like a mob boss or something. With been about masturbation day in and day out on my timeline. And again, serious publications. We're talking people with like millions of readers, like in their newsletters are talking about the topic. And I'm like, huh, interesting. But the angle you tackle specifically, though, you tackle like the racist side of it. Could you, in about a sentence or two, give me an impression of what your experience has been like in terms of what you've observed racism-wise on the internet?
Yeah, so I think this isn't the case for every woman. And obviously there are women who are legitimately evil and racist, but there are some women online who are grifters who play up being racist or offensive as edgy humor to kind of capture a male audience who is into that kind of humor.
And would you say objectively what they're doing is wrong, per se?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously any form of racism, performative or not, if they're genuinely being racist or not, it's still encouraging that sort of negative behavior. And it's just creating this feedback loop of just people giving each other attention because of the fact that they're spreading these harmful ideas.
Yeah, and since we're on the topic of e-girls specifically, I think it's worth mentioning that a lot of it is adjacent to video game culture.